The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? Piano tuning. That booming American business. Or maybe it's just easier to crack safes. With great skills comes great punishment, we learn as Amber and Scott discuss tuner. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
Well, what they say about the piano industry.
They say something about the piano industry?
If you're in it long enough, you'll eventually be with criminals sooner rather than later.
Oh my gosh. All right, well, I think that's the end of our episode. I don't know where to go from there. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, this episode we were talking about tuner, and this is the story of a man who works tuning pianos along with his mentor, Harry, who owns the company, has been doing this for decades and knew this guy. His name's Nikki, knew Nikki's dad, loves Nikki, and looks out for him. And they just kind of go around throughout the city in this big van every day, showing up at places that have pianos and tuning them. And unfortunately, a lot of those places are where pianos are simply for decoration, not actually actively played. But the interesting thing about Nikki is he has this, condition called, what was it? It was hyperacusis, where he is...
Are you sure that's what it is?
I tried to remember the entire film, so I'm pretty sure it was hyperacusis.
Intern, what's the condition that makes it so that loud noises are almost like an allergic reaction for you? That's really bad.
The condition is called hyperacusis, which causes everyday sounds to be perceived as abnormally loud or painful.
All right, so he wears one set of earplugs, and then he has a bigger, heftier, over-the-head kind of earphones to block out noise and especially loud sounds like car sirens and smoke alarms and anything like that, which is extremely painful for him. And it turns out if you're a piano tuner and you're two guys that show up at a house, there is always some white woman in a very nice house that says basically as long as there's guys here who are being paid, can they fix my internet? Can they fix my toilet? That was embarrassing because I can actually see that happening.
Yeah, we're not handymen. We're piano tuners.
Just because we have different body parts doesn't mean that we can do all those things, and it's not what we're there for. But there are some interesting what would you do's in here because Nikki apparently used to be a virtuoso piano player and was really quite talented, and then apparently was impacted by this condition and spent 2 years in complete and total quiet because he couldn't even tolerate the sound of his own voice.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's not a little tism in Nikki there. Because there were definitely certain traits, but these are more like Rain Man type traits. Like him being able to listen to all of that music and recite back exactly what was played when it was really complex. Being a little less social. The hearing thing is definitely something that you see in people who are autistic. But yeah, no, this is like, I mean, there's some bad parts, but definitely the talented part of autism.
And early in the film, his friend and mentor and employer, Harry, he's starting to experience dementia symptoms and inadvertently locks his hearing aid in their safe. And he changed the combination for it. He can't remember what it is. And Nikki says, hey, let me see if I can get into the safe. And because of his hearing issue, he also seems to be hypersensitive to being able to hear certain everything. And he is able to unlock this, it's not called a rotary. What is the safe called with the the little dial you twist
Just
back and forth.
a dial safe.
A dial safe.
I think.
He is able to open up this safe and retrieve Harry's hearing aid.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I know a little bit about lock picking, and a lot of the same things that apply in lock picking apply in safe cracking as well. It's just more lock picking's more feel, and safe cracking's more listening.
well, it's listening and feel because he was watching some YouTube videos trying to figure out how to do it. And it was a combination of both because what you're hearing as the sound, you can also feel because a certain vibration makes a feeling in addition to a sound. And it turns out one of these houses where he is tuning a piano, that there is a company that's supposedly the security company, but they rob their security clients and take things out of their safes.
That's a really bad security company if they're the ones that rob you.
It is. It is. And Nikki can't get his job done of tuning the piano because he can't hear over them hitting this safe with a drill trying to get into it. So Nikki just says, basically, I'll help you get into the safe and just shut the heck up. And he does, and there's treasures in it, and he goes back to tuning his piano. But now this unscrupulous security company knows that he has the capacity to pick saves and get in. So the first what would you do is what would you do if you were Nikki and you're trying to find the source of this noise because you can't do your job, and it turns out it's people trying to break into something. Do you help them so you can do your job so they'll shut up?
I probably never get close enough to them to figure that out. Like, as I get close and I hear all of this noise coming from in there at that hour, I have to think something's up and I'm just bailing.
Here is the part of the movie that doesn't make sense to me and it bugs me, so I'm just going to call this out right now. This security company is robbing their clients on the notion of, we're going to break into a safe and we're going to take something and the clients aren't even going to notice it. Why would they try to get into this safe with a high-powered drill? Because I got to tell you, I think the person's going to notice you try to get into it. Doesn't matter what you take. They're going to notice a hole in their safe.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they know that the security company is the one who did it.
It just seems if your business model as a criminal is to take something and not have anyone be aware, that you wouldn't actually do something to physically mess with the safe. What would I do? If I had to resort to high-powered drills to get in, I would pass on that one. Also, too, why are they even doing that if they don't even have the skills to get into safes?
Yeah,
They're acting like this is something that they're doing, but they're obviously not good at it.
not good enough, or at least not quick enough. Yeah, no, they weren't good at their job.
And the other issue I have is as we get further into the film, they have a safe back at their operations, the security company's operations, that they need Nikki to come over and pick for them. If you're a security company, why are you bringing the safe out of the house and into your place? Why are you removing the safe?
I don't think that was a removed safe. I think that was actually his safe, and he was trying to see if Nikki could crack it.
Anyway, so after that time where Nikki gets them in and basically says, shut up, I'm going to go back to tuning my camera, this security guard, or he's not a security guard, he's a security company owner, now knows that Nikki has this talent and offers him the opportunity to make some money. And at the same time, Nikki's mentor and friend, Harry, who owns the tuning company, is hospitalized, and they have $35,000 in medical bills and more growing each day. And Nikki wants to help because he dearly loves this couple. So what would you do if you had the skill that a criminal wanted to tap into and someone you cared about deeply was under financial stress?
I'll say this, I'm probably not making payments on this debt. Like, they're not going to stop treating him. Like, that's the most important thing, is the treatment. They're not going to stop treating him.
You're just going to stockpile the cash that you're earning from this in your apartment?
if I want to use it for that effect, I want to make sure that I'm getting all of it.
Why?
Like-
And if you can even chip away $10,000 at a $40,000, $35,000, $45,000 debt, why would you just wait until you do it all at once?
Because that's still a whole lot of money, and that's already in bankruptcy range. That you could just go bankrupt if you had to.
What?
Like, if you don't have the money in a situation like that, you can go bankrupt.
Oh, if Harry doesn't have
Yeah.
the money.
So, like, that's another way of making it disappear. So,
Oh, so
you
you're trying to...
you potentially could hand them $10,000-$15,000, and then they still have to go bankrupt, and you just are out $10,000-$15,000. But if you wait till you have all of it, then you can pay it all at once. Plus, you also don't know exactly how much money you're going to get. Like, you're getting these jobs, but who knows for how long? Like, this isn't exactly
Well, he's
a
not
reputable
looking...
company here that's hiring you.
Well, he's not looking to make money. He's looking to help his dear friend. So I'm still not sure I understand your bankruptcy thing. So are you saying if he doesn't pay it, then they can just default on the bill and then file for bankruptcy? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, actually.
Or you could just pay the people who provided services for you for what they did.
I understand that, but you have to remember that
I don't have to
the
remember
people
anything.
who are getting the services couldn't pay for it.
Well,
Like, that's their job, not necessarily
not
Nikki's.
That, it's not that they couldn't pay for it. It's that Harry, who is also in the early stages of dementia, stopped paying his insurance bill in protest of when they wouldn't replace his hearing aid. And so therefore there was treatment sought and received when it turns out their insurance was canceled. So that's very different. If you have
But that's still
chosen not to pay and you still have treatment that needs to be paid for.
that's not on Nikki, though. That's the thing.
Well, of course it's not on Nikki, but that's what you do when you care about people. Is
I
you
understand
help ease
that.
their suffering.
But this is where being smart comes into play here. If you can pay the whole thing for them and you see, okay, I'm making enough money that this isn't going to be a problem, sure. I have no problem whatsoever with Nikki saying, your debt's gone. But the whole, like, I want to make a payment, like, they're not going to withhold treatment. So
Okay,
either pay it all or pay none.
Okay, so what I hear from you is you are analyzing the financial entity within the very complicated healthcare system. Is that what we're doing here?
I'm being practical.
Okay, this is stimulating.
Hey, you know what?
for
Like
our
I've said,
listeners.
the what would you do's that come out of my mouth are often boring.
Yeah, no. If we're talking about financial payments and the healthcare system, I am bored in this, and I'm here.
Yeah, no,
So
it's boring.
let's
It makes for a good movie, but in reality, you either pay it all or you pay none.
Okay, all right. Moving on. So Nikki is taking these jobs, and initially he is hesitant on his very first job. Let's just jump back to his very first job for a moment. And he's very aware of what he's doing. They're in this mansion. They've gone to the safe in this person's bedroom. They've opened up pulled back a piece of artwork that has a safe behind it. And he is hesitating. And Yuri, the guy who's in charge of the security company, has to jump in with a story of how this person is a bad person and they gave people loans and they defaulted on their houses and their whole lives were destroyed, to try to motivate him of saying, you're stealing from a bad person who doesn't really deserve all of this and hates people. And that is enough to finally motivate Nikki to break into the safe. And it turns out that's not this guy's story at all. He works with NutriBullets or something. So
None of that should have been relevant.
Which is a blender. But if you were Nikki, and this is not your world, you just kind of stumbled into the fact that I can do this, and now you're hanging out with bad guys who go into very wealthy homes and rob people while they're also charging them for security services. What would you do if Nikki and you have this, and I'm going to use air quotes here, this opportunity?
Yeah, so let's look at this from reality. Nikki basically took a loan from a criminal.
Oh, yeah, because before that job, he said, yeah, I'll do it, but I need it in advance, and he used that advance to buy the van.
An advance is a loan.
That, of course, to buy the van that was Harry's because they needed money to help pay the hospital. So, yeah, he had already accepted money for that.
Yeah, you Like, your conscience can't get in the way at this point. Like,
Well, you can return the money, but
you
obviously
don't have
already
it.
gave it away. So.
Yeah, but I say he's not going to be able to return the money.
But this is before that. I said, what would you do if you were Nikki and you realized you had this skill that criminals want to tap into?
Once you get into this part where you're like, I really could use money, like to buy a van and to pay off debt and stuff like that. I mean, it really kind of boils down to this. Once you've dipped your toes in, you're in.
Nikki had tried to do everything the right way. He tried to secure small business loans and was trying to secure the funds in many ways. And he was very diligent in exploring all the options, but he just didn't qualify. And this was a last resort. He accepted it, this opportunity, because he knew it could help Harry. And he deeply cared for Harry.
Yeah, clearly he didn't want to be a criminal, but he wanted the money that you could get from being a criminal.
See, here's the thing when you
I don't think any criminal wants to be a criminal. They want the rewards of being a criminal, or at least with theft and stuff like that.
So the thing to consider here with Nikki and Yuri is I don't think you show the criminal that you can do this and then you just do it once. I don't see that as being something that you can get out of, because you potentially open up this entire new world of opportunity for them to be able to have more heists and make more money.
He could. He actually could. And at first, that's what it was. Like, he showed the guy what he could do. The guy came down, basically dropped $500 on him on the way out and said, if you want more, let me know. Like, there was no agreement at that point. Like, he got money because he did a job. And if Nikki hadn't called him, then there wasn't going to be any more.
Okay, we're hopping around here, but yeah.
I mean, I'm making the point, like, he's shown the skill already, and he can walk away if he wants to.
Sure, but once you take that first job, I don't think it's nearly as easy to be like, okay, I'm done. Because, number one, they have leverage on you because they know you've done this crime, which is easy to use against you. And number two, you were in and out and done quickly, where he had basically two morons who couldn't do the work themselves.
Yeah, so the leverage is mostly irrelevant because the person who's orchestrating these robberies is not going to turn you in. Like, they're going to, like, that's one thing you're pretty safe from.
Oh, are you kidding me? When in the film, when Nikki actually wasn't returning Yuri's calls and Yuri just shows up at Harry's funeral and says, hey, is that your girlfriend? And said something like she has pretty hands. I thought, oh, great. If he doesn't do the next job, he's going to cut off Nikki's girlfriend's hands.
Yeah, so if you're going to go into bit now,
that's leverage.
Now, I know there's no honor amongst thieves, but I still would go into this and say, listen, if I do jobs for you, it needs to be under the condition that I am a full-on contractor. I work when I want, if I want. I can stop anytime I want. I don't need to give a reason why I want to or don't want to do a job. You have to be okay with that before I work for you at all.
Yeah, if you have the presence of mind to negotiate your business relationship, that certainly makes things easier.
Now, that doesn't mean he'll necessarily honor that, but
also, too, it's much the same as blackmail. People have an agreement of you do this for me and I'll give you back the photos or the files or anything I have on you. And then it doesn't actually happen because they lied. They don't have to. They can say, I don't wanna.
Yeah, listen, I get that he totally could go back on his word. I still would go in with that expectation. And I'd even say, listen, if I do this, it is for a limited amount of time. I understand that you are interested in my skills, and my skills make it much better for you. So you can have my skills for a small amount of time, or you can have my skills for no amount of time. And it's kind of on you which one you want. Because it's not going to be forever. I'm not joining your organization. And I think if you actually go into it like that.
Well, it's very clear thinking, of course. The better arrangement and the clearer you are up front, the better things go. And then I think that would be the equivalent of probably a 42-minute movie.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about the timing on this, though. If I remember correctly, when he showed up at the wake,
Yuri
showed up at the wake, that was after they had already had the whole thing with the crypto wallet, right?
One of the heists was that Nikki needed to break into the safe, but there was actually a third party there. And in the safe, there was the code to get to a crypto wallet. Yes, it was after.
Okay, so at that point, presumably they know what the score is, or about what the score is. Like, they know the score is in the millions.
Who's they?
Everyone else on the criminal side.
I don't know what they know. They probably suspect there's a lot of money, but they haven't had access to the account, so they don't know for sure, which is further shown later in the film when $1 million is lifted off the top by Nikki, but they don't even know.
That's not what happened. I thought you might think that. If you looked at that same screen, it mentioned that it had suffered a 5.04% loss that day, which would have taken it from the 18 million and change to the 17 million and change.
Wrong, because why is there a piano full of money in Nikki's widow's piano that Nikki put there?
Because he got a lot of money from doing his jobs. He wouldn't have that money in cash if it was crypto.
Okay.
No. He didn't, but he sure as hell should have.
Okay.
I absolutely, if I'm Nikki and I get in before everyone else, like, I'm swiping at least $1 million, probably $2 or $3 million, just straight up, and moving it somewhere else. Like, that way, if something goes ass up, you still have this money. But yeah, that's the problem, is like, he knows they're close now because they know where the other one is. The guy whose crypto wallet it is now dead. See, that's the thing. At that point, Nikki's literally the only person who knows that information.
Okay, this is getting kind of convoluted with details here. So let's jump ahead here to one of our last what would you do?
I'm just noting that Yuri's not going to let that go, knowing that there's an incredible amount of money.
So toward the end of the film, the girl that Nikki is dating, her name is Ruthie. She has been giving a gift by Nikki, and it was a pearl watch that was similar to one that she got from her grandma, and Nikki got it from a heist, and there was engraving on the back, and I thought, okay, what would you do? I would not give someone personalized jewelry, even though he explained I got it at an estate sale. I would not give somebody something that was stolen that was so easily identifiable.
Yeah, if it's stolen, you can't do that. You just can't.
That was
if
stupid.
You can find a way of removing the etching or something like that.
But even so, even scraping against the back, you'd be like, okay, well, it's evidence that there was something.
Well, you'd have to do something a little more professional than just scraping.
If you have something that's ill-gotten gains and that is personalized, do not give it to somebody. That is so incriminating, because it turns out that one of the houses that Yuri and Nikki and the crew hit was a composer that Ruthie actually wanted a job with. So when she's finally offered this wonderful opportunity that she has been desiring for the longest time, that the composer says, hey, you have a watch there. I had a watch like that. It got stolen. Where'd you get the watch? And at that point, the cat is out of the bag, and Nikki has to admit that he took the watch, and apparently there's a companion watch, because these are watches that go back to this composer's great-grandparents in the Holocaust, and Nikki needs to get this watch from Yuri and the rest of the criminals.
Why does he have to admit he stole it? Like, I wouldn't.
Well, I'd say what would you do? I would probably say, if I was trying to get away with it, I would say I bought it from some guy in an alley or something like that.
You've got to stick with your original story. I got it from an estate sale.
Well, then you'd have to say where and by who. That's a terrible alibi, because you can't back any of it up. If you say you bought it from some guy in an alley, what, you're going to go find the guy?
But here's the thing. You can make up something.
And in today's society, you can't make up garbage, because there is some sort of trail. You could, or heck, even that's basic. It's not even today with today's digital world. You could talk to the person that runs the hotel or the banquet hall or whatever, was there an estate sale here? Who was the vendor? Who was the seller?
But
Like you
here,
can,
you usually do those at homes.
whatever, you still have to go to someplace. That's what I'm saying, is you would still have to actually say who it was and where you went and who the seller was.
Yeah, and if you're going to say that, well, he said it at first, so he actually should have had something like lined up. And like, if you're going to tell a lie, you need to have your lie fleshed out all the way. And you can easily end it with, it seems as though this ended up being a fencing operation for criminals. Like it wasn't actually an estate sale. I didn't know. I'm just not admitting it. I'm just not.
Well, then you can answer all the questions at the police station, I guess.
Why?
Because you gave your girlfriend stolen property. That's why.
I didn't know it was stolen. It's fine. Listen,
Well, it doesn't matter.
Listen,
if
we
you
understand
knew.
that it's stolen and he gets it back. Like, we're not going to question any of that. I'm out whatever I paid for it.
But it's not just that someone has it, it's that it's stolen, and this is also someone you want to give your girlfriend a job. Like, there's layers to this.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You could still do the second half without the first half because you could say, I went and bought it from that estate sale. I saw the other watch. I think that I can go retrieve that. And you just don't give any details because at that point, the maestro was going to be happy by getting back the other watch. So you don't necessarily have to take the blame and you can still make it right.
Okay.
So, but he does say he's going to go get it. And then he goes and gets it or goes to try to get it. Here's a what would you do for you? You're Nikki. You are entering that atmosphere, which is obviously not going to be great for you since it's a freaking rave.
Well, their business is run out of this warehouse that sometimes is a warehouse and sometimes it's used to house raves. I didn't quite get that connection. That was kind of weird. But yeah.
Yeah, so
he's trying to get to this Yuri safe
Well,
to be able to locate the watch.
what's
That is
your-
the
no, what's your
that is
plan
the
be-
companion watch.
what's
to the
your
one he
plan
gave
before
his
you even go in
girlfriend
there?
To try and break into the safe.
Your plan's to break into the safe? Okay, that is not my plan at all. Like, listen, these dudes clearly not good. Like, you don't steal from criminals. They don't take it well. And especially in a situation where you're basically doing it effectively in public.
Oh, I agree. I would go to Yuri and saying, hey, I got busted. I need the watch to be able to make this thing go away.
Yeah, just listen, long story short, we did this house. Those are 2 watches. They are freaking Holocaust watches. I actually know who the owner is, and it's tied back to my girlfriend. What can I do to get that other watch from you?
Yeah, I would agree.
Do I need to pay you for it? Do I need to do another job for you? What allows me to get that watch back?
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. Definitely it's worth a conversation. And for some reason that doesn't go anywhere, then you go to plan B, which might be stealing it back.
But I think it would, because here's the thing. Like, they didn't have an irreparable relationship at that point. Like, wasn't thrilled with him, but if he comes to him with niceties, especially if he thinks this guy might do another job for me, hey, here's the watch. What I'm going to get out of you for the next one's worth a lot more than the watch.
Well, I don't know.
Or even,
I don't know about that because I think you're forgetting the order of things. They did have a bad blood at that point because they actually had abducted Nikki to make him do a job that he actually hadn't shown up for. And they did the air horn in his ear, which to him is excruciating.
Oh yeah,
They kidnapped him. They made him get into a safe under duress and missed his girlfriend's concert, which was the thing that she'd been working toward since forever.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Nikki wouldn't have every reason in the world to have irreparable beef with them. But the long and the short is they got what they wanted. They got that safe cracked. So as far as they're concerned, like, they're cool. If Nikki wants to be cool, now you're probably thinking he's not going to want to be cool. But if he comes back to you and says, hey, I'm cool, then that's just water under the bridge, at least as far as Yuri thinks. So you're able to kind of do business in that situation. Like, I think it's perfectly fine. Yuri's bad blood went away the second that safe opened.
Okay, so final thoughts on Tuner.
Was there anything else in that situation?
I don't think so. Basically, guys sensitive to hearing that talent is exploited for personal gain and then also exploited to make him comply.
And listen, I get it. Like, I get the second time when he air horned the crap out of him.
When Yuri.
Yeah, because he was pissed off and everything. But when they abducted him, don't air horn him before you want him to crack a safe. You idiot.
That was not smart.
That was really dumb.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.